I'd like to just take a few minutes and share with you the purpose of the Social Impact Exchange and describe a little bit about how we hope to support nonprofits. And then I'm going to turn it over to Jane Lowe, who will be your Master of Ceremonies this afternoon. As many of you know, the Social Impact Exchange is a national membership association, and it's completely dedicated to this issue of scaling social impact in the social sector. Its purpose is to serve as a common ground where all those who are interested can come together and build this field and accelerate our progress on scaling our best solutions. You know, though we often talk about scaling as replicating a program or scaling an organization, the exchange has a broad focus on scaling impact, which can take many other forms as well, such as scale up of a product or a platform. It could be scaled impact through public policy or a social movement. Launched in 2009, the exchange now has 2,800 members and 180 leaders and funders signed up to participate on working groups. It's easy to join from our website. It doesn't cost anything, and everyone is welcome. The exchange's launch would not have been possible without our terrific partners at Duke University and without major support from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation and its Vulnerable Populations Group. Now, much of the early work of the exchange has been geared toward making it easier for nonprofits to raise the capital they need to scale up their impact. Raising growth capital remains arduous, one by one, and inefficient. Therefore, our initial efforts have focused on building and working with networks of funders, both foundations and individual philanthropists, nationally and locally, to make it easier for them to connect with evidence-based scaling nonprofits. However, we believe it's also critical to provide direct support to nonprofits as they take on the challenge of demonstrating that their interventions work and then making them available to many more people. This business plan competition and the symposium are the most tangible ways that we try to help you as you develop your plans to sustainably grow your impact. The competition and the symposium are the vision of our Vice President, Cynthia Mazarski, who conceived it and has done a wonderful job spearheading it as a way to help build the pipeline of scale-ready organizations and build the field's capacity to scale up solutions. The exchange has also established a knowledge working group led by the team at Duke, which will provide content support to nonprofits through its projects to develop, aggregate, and disseminate knowledge on scaling to the sector. In addition, on Thursday, we'll be unveiling the first version of a framework for funders to use when conducting due diligence on scaling initiatives. We hope it can also provide nonprofits with a valuable tool they can use as they plan their scale-ups. And each of you should have a copy of that framework in your symposium bag. Finally, this fall, we are also planning to establish an advisory group of nonprofit leaders for the exchange to help inform our efforts and be a collective voice in our work with funders. And we'll collaborate with others in this endeavor, but the idea is to learn and advocate for the help that you need to scale your organizations and their impact. So before closing, I'd just like to say one other thing. It's quite clear to us that if you, our sector's growing cohort of scaling nonprofits, does not succeed, we won't come close to addressing our most difficult social problems. In this sense, our future is truly in your hands. And though I realize how hard it is to scale while running your current programs, I want to encourage you to throw your full might into it and to be relentless about understanding if your program really does work, and if so, how to maintain its outcomes as it scales. That's what gives us the moral imperative to scale it up. And that's what gives you the knowledge that you are improving the lives of those you serve. If it does work, and you choose to scale its impact, the exchange will do everything we possibly can to help you along that path. So with that, it is my great pleasure to introduce the Master of Ceremonies for the Symposium, the Program Director of the Vulnerable Populations Division at the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, a person who has helped us envision the exchange many years ago and has remained a major supporter and a valued strategic counselor all the way through. If there is a better program officer in the field, I don't know of them. Our good partner and friend, Jane Lowe.
With an introduction like that, I think sometimes as a funder, it's nice to hear those things. Whoops. So, I'm really delighted to be here today, and I want to just start by just saying a few words about the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation and also about our own sort of journey, I would say, towards thinking about scale, because it's not necessarily an intuitive process. So most of you may know, and for those of you who don't, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation is the largest philanthropy devoted solely to improving health and health care of all Americans. Our grantees are diverse. They range from community-based nonprofits to academic health centers to regional collaboratives and to state agencies. And all of our grantees, regardless of size, are taking on some of the biggest and most complex issues that we face today and that require bold ideas, innovation, and leadership to drive the kind of change to solve the problems. Over our 40-year history of funding, we've tried to replicate and scale nationally a number of initiatives. We've grown single organizations, such as the Nurse-Family Partnership, or replicated and scaled a single idea, such as the concept of supportive housing. And we have also taken on the complex challenge of organizing the players needed to drive collective impact. As you can imagine, some of our initiatives have been hugely successful and others much less so. Like other funders, we expect our grantees to have real impact on the problems that they take on and we support. Yet we've learned that we can only take our grantees to a certain point, and then to grow them further, they need different kinds of support to increase their impact. As the idea of scaling promising social innovations has gained great currency in the field of philanthropy, in government, and in the nonprofit sector, we began to focus in a more systematic way on the why, when, and how involved in replicating and scaling social innovation. We recognize that the solutions we are working towards require us to enter into strategic collaborations with many different partners and to think differently about how we invest in projects. The challenge is to use our resources to support a pipeline of strong nonprofits with evidence of effectiveness and the potential for scale. And I say the potential because we have also learned that not every idea or organization can or should scale. So I just want to share with you for a moment some of the questions we think about as we assess our investments. First, does the idea have merit? Can it create fundamental change? Is it durable? Can it be adapted under multiple and diverse operating conditions and communities? And does it have broad application? Where in the life cycle is the organization? Is it ready for growth? Does it have strong evidence, a business model, a strategy that can be executed, and leadership that can work across sectors in lots of different kinds of often non-traditional environments to drive change? And then finally, what's the most effective way to help our grantees secure additional resources for growth? We made an investment in the social impact exchange as we, particularly in the vulnerable populations work of the foundation, we're trying to think about how to really grow organizations to solve these big, messy challenges that we face. As I said, we could get organizations to a certain point, but then our own lack of knowledge and our own lack of understanding about how to grow and scale things became very evident to us. We also had a lot of conversations with colleagues in the field, and it appeared that there was a real need for a platform to share knowledge and lessons about the critical issues of scale across the sectors and the fields, to engage with others who are already developing and implementing strategies to aggregate capital, and there are many out there who are already doing this work, and to create a marketplace of strong evidence-based nonprofits that would be attractive to a range of investors. By learning from and with each other, I believe we can build strong, effective nonprofits that will have the capacity to solve many of our most pressing social, health, and educational challenges. And I know that you would agree that we cannot lose the focus on the communities and the people whose interests and needs are what this work is really all about. So I want to just end with that thought that it's important to keep in mind that we are really working on behalf of people that really need our products and services, and we have a real obligation to make sure that those products and services are effective and really get to the change that we really want to see. So the goal of today's afternoon event is to focus on sharing this knowledge about ways to bring our most promising social solutions to scale. First off, in the afternoon here, everyone will have an opportunity to witness the presentations of the mezzanine level stage finalists in the Exchange's business competition. This competition is designed to help build that pipeline of growth-ready nonprofits by identifying social sector scaling initiatives with evidence of effectiveness and readiness to grow, and then supporting them with financial and consulting awards. The finalists you see today entered the competition last fall with either a strategy paper or draft business plan, and since then proceeded through a couple of rounds of funding, during which time they perfected their plans and received either training from Duke University faculty or one-on-one consulting. Some 140 judges evaluated their plans and provided customized feedback to all the entrants. And we know you'll find these presentations to be quite informative, not only for the tremendous success of the organizations themselves, but also for what you might learn from their work. You also, later in the afternoon, will have the opportunity to participate in sessions that address key issues of how to plan for and implement scaling initiatives. Concurrent sessions will give you the chance to either watch the early stage finalists in the competition participate in a session with expert consultants about developing a business plan, or hear about scaling in real time from the Parent-Child Home Program, which was one of the award recipients in last year's competition, and they will have with them their consultant group, the Whalen Group. Then we'll all return back to the theater for a very exciting ending plenary session on preparing emerging leaders to sustain and grow their high-impact organizations. And of course, we'll close the afternoon with the announcement of the judges' results and selection of the award recipients in the business plan competition. So without further ado, let me introduce Cynthia Mazarski, Director of the Exchange, who will kick off the final round of the business competition.